Hey, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a special broadcast, as I was telling all of you in the past 2 hours that we were doing. We have a great show. First of all, let me say I am so thrilled and excited to be connecting with all of you for a lot of reasons. One of the things that we inspire to do is to create the best way to provide information to all of you. And I have to say that yesterday we got information on our new technology and where we are in the development of it. It's pretty sophisticated because here's why. We asked all of you, we asked all of our hosts, we asked everybody, what do you want? And then we got pages and pages and pages. Some of it had something to do with radio, but most of it didn't. So, as a team and as a network, we looked at this and we said, if we're going to build this, why don't we build what people really want? Why don't we build intelligent apps? Why don't we build a network, a brand new website interface? Why don't we build a community of people that believe in creating a better world? So yesterday, we finally got our midpoint milestone. So we are on track for delivery in September. And I'm excited about that because that's all part of what we're talking about today. And we have a very special guest. Sara Landon is joining us here today because when you say yes to things in your life, sometimes they're like a network, but other times they don't have to be like that. Sometimes for me, it was just getting out of bed. When you are able to do that in Sarah's language, you are entering the realm, the path of the Wayshower. You are entering the world of living, loving, leading. You are entering the way of the world that when you wake up the next day, you and the people around you are more awake, more aware. And the more awake, more aware that there is a possibility of conscious living, conscious loving, conscious being, conscious doing, conscious period that you're capable of. Today, we're going to be speaking with someone that has been called the leader of leaders for the next generation of transformation in the world. She and I have this kind of background. Former corporate professional and entrepreneur. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to talk about what happened back then. Turned into inspirational speaker, spiritual teacher, and a phenomenal intuitive channel. But what is it about our lives that got us from there to here, that got us from a world where possibly giving wasn't the primary viewpoint to where we are today to give and share, from a world that wasn't really about creating a better world, but beating the next person to the game, to now the place where we live and breathe what it means to create a better world and create a positive impact on the world. Today's show should take you on that journey to look at where we were in the evolution of human history. What happened to us along the way, how our family lineage may or may not contribute, but more importantly, you are here today in the moment. What are you willing to do to create a better world? Sara, it's great to have you.
Oh, Dr. Pat, I am so excited to be here with you and your incredible community. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. You know what? Look, we got to go back a little bit in order to go forward. You could have never told me a million years when I was in corporate America and I was working my way up and all of that. And I had went back to school, did everything that they wanted me to do because I thought at the end, all of that hard work would be represented in what most people do, a pension, this, that, the other thing, and maybe even being treated fairly. But as once upon a time, the labor secretary said, hello, folks, 1991 is here, and you have just experienced the repeal of the psychological contract. And most of us said, what? What did you say?
Oh, wow. It is so true that the belief that we are living the life we're supposed to live, going to school and getting a job and having a career and buying a house, getting married, whatever it is, having children and thinking that you're doing all the things you're supposed to do in order to be successful. And yet inside, you're not really living your truth. There's more. But like for me, and I think you can relate, Dr. Pat, I had no idea how I was going to get from where I was to the life I wanted to live. And in a lot of ways, I didn't know exactly what that even looked like. I just knew that this wasn't it when I was in that place. And yet I thought I was doing all the right things. I thought I did everything that I was supposed to do. And I have to say, I had a wonderful career. I worked with great people. I loved my clients. It's not like anything was wrong. I was in a relationship with someone that from the outside, it looked like it was a happy, loving relationship, and I had everything going well in my life. But inside, I wasn't living my truth. And that is a decision. When you come to that place, when you say, I know there's something more, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I have to try. I have to try. And when you do, when you're willing to do that, and when you trust that there is some awareness out there greater than you that knows where you are, knows where you're meant to be, and you start getting in alignment to that, you will live a life beyond your wildest dreams.
I love that you're bringing this up, Sarah, because one of the things I want to ask you, I've explained this before on air. I mean, I just recently started to talk about it. And the way I explained it, and I want to know if it was like this for you, because we are going to talk about the Great Awakening, but
Yes.
each of us has our own degrees of awakening, don't we? And
Oh,
sometimes
yeah.
we don't call them as the Great Awakening until maybe a couple decades go back. And you look back and you say, oh, what just happened there, right? But I woke up one day, lived in a giant house, 5 acres, couple cars, truck in a driveway, a room the size of my current apartment, uh, in a neighborhood in New Jersey, right? That all people like me lived in, a dog, the whole thing. What do you call it? A hot tub. Oh my God. Yeah, I said that. And then on the way out of the house one day, in this big slate, beautiful foyer, there was a mirror. And for some reason, I stopped and I looked in the mirror, and there was something that happened. I became unrecognizable to myself. And what I mean by that is not that I was good or bad, but the person that I knew that was really inside of me, I didn't see her on that day. And that set me off on a series of events, calling me a rebel, right? As I went back to my big corporate executive HR job in charge of programming, including downsizing, I was different. Did you have a moment like that? Where
Yeah.
you
And
almost
again,
didn't recognize?
we have so many similarities. I was living in a big house with a truck in the driveway as well on 5 acres in Redmond, Washington. And I had a similar experience. And you say that we don't necessarily know that we're having a great awakening when we're going through it. And for me, it was a little bit more like a 2x4 upside the head. It didn't really feel like a great awakening, which is also why I do what I do, because I do believe your awakening experience can be a loving, harmonious, actually joyous process. But at the time, I was going from working 60 plus hours a week, always on the go, up at 5 a.m., traveling all around the world, to suddenly finding myself in a doctor's office being diagnosed with cancer, facing surgery and a life threatening situation that led me to be sitting on the couch for 3 months, unable to do anything but just be with myself and my thoughts.
That
And
is a moment of truth, isn't it?
it is,
That is
it
like a
is.
moment of truth right there. And don't you think, Sarah, I just want to ask you this. Sometimes when people hear us do the show, they look at us and say, oh, that's those two. But I do believe everyone is not only capable of having moments like this, but really what needs to happen is to be inspired to have those moments, or hear your story, or hear my story, or work with you, or really be in the presence of the possibility of that.
Yeah, I do believe that when you are going through experiences like this, angels show up, miracles show up, the people you need show up when you need them on your path. I could never have orchestrated all of the incredible experiences that got me to this point and all the people that were part of my journey, some that are still part of my journey, and some that we were just in each other's life for a time. And it was such a blessing. But I tell people, you've got to trust that there's something greater than you that knows where you are, knows what you want, knows who you're here to be. And you don't have to have the 2x4 upside the head. You can have a experience of awakening to the truth within you, but it depends on how willing you are to let go. And I remember hearing that. I was very blessed working with some wonderful spiritual teachers and personal development leaders at an early age. And I would hear this let go. And from my Christian upbringing, I would hear the surrender. And I kept saying, what am I supposed to let go of? I let go, I surrendered. And I would say that, and I would pray, and I would say, I have surrendered. And it wasn't until I finally figured out what that meant. And letting go, when you hear the words let go, it means let go of the worry, of the shame, of the stress, of the trying to compete and be better than everything and everyone. It's the letting go of needing to do more always in order to be enough, in order to earn your right to be here and be loved and be happy. And then there's surrender. And Dr. Pat, we've talked about this.
We're going to talk about it more, though.
We
But
are,
because
because it's
I'll tell you,
important.
people didn't know you and I were going to get up and we are going to get fired up about this, because I tell you got to get fired up about this.
Yeah.
I love the 2x4 analogy. I didn't share most of that 2x4 because I want to hear from you. But I'm not one of these people. Yeah, a friend of mine said to me, my mentor, Sidonia Cahill, she passed away very abruptly. She said to me, looked at me straight. We're on a vision question. She said, "Do you know that you can be brushed on the side of the face by a feather? And if you are awake enough, that will have the same effect, Pat, as being hit by a 2x4. So which one do you want to choose?" I'm going to ask Sara that when we come back. We're going to take a short break. We're right here. Transformation Talk Radio. Carter is in the helm. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Look, I got to tell you that today, this is a fabulous interview. Thank you, Carter, for jumping in. Thank you, Jessica. Thank everybody on the Transformation Talk Radio team for making this happen. You all are going to see something really new from us as we move forward. And Jessica's like, okay, don't announce too much because we're not ready. But I'm going to tell you, we are ready. And what we're ready for is to bring you the information you need when you need it, including a weekend venue of live radio. Why? Because people really do want this information. Sara Landon knows this. You know, Sarah's my very special guest today. And the reason that Sara knows this is that she's lived it, she's learned from it, and now she is on a mission to share the path of the Wayshower, living, loving, leading the way in an awakening world. And the reason we're talking about this today, and we're going to carry this forward, is because many times folks, Sara, listen to the show and they think, oh, it's for Sara, oh, it's for Pat. But me? No, I got my 9 to 5 job, right? What I discovered is we have had listeners all over the world, every walk of life. One of the people that used to listen to the show and still does used to call us from her house cleaning job every day to call into the show. Today, we're talking about an awakening that may not be like yours, but I suspect a lot of people have gone through what you and I have been through. Maybe very different. I want to ask you about your passion and purpose for this, because a lot of times the history you share is important for both of us. But here we are today. I'm here 15 years later, but that's many more decades. So are you. And we still are fired up.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening?
Yeah. I don't think there's a better time to be alive ever than right now, right here. And there's no greater opportunity to live your purpose in a meaningful, fulfilling way and to make a positive impact in your life and the life of everyone around you. There is no better time. And I do believe that we have a great awakening going on. I see it every day in my life, in my relationships, in my family, in my community. And I will tell you, I actually think the world is moving in a positive, good direction. And it's because of people that listen to this radio show every day and take a bit of information, take a piece of wisdom, apply it in their everyday life, and see the difference it makes in their own life and around in the people around them and who they love.
What you said, I want to revisit. I don't want to get off of this. I need to stay with this because you said something so seriously important. I think if we blow by it, we're going to miss an opportunity. I agree with you. You know, folks talk about this and they talk about that and they talk about divisiveness and they talk about challenges. You know, we see uprising in countries. But one of the things I've learned, I want to ask you if you've learned it too, is whether you read Carl Jung and you learn about the Dark Knight, or you read Joseph Campbell, or anybody that's ever, or maybe you've heard Oprah talk about the worst day in her life, there is something that happens on the other side of those events. And it possibly couldn't happen, the kind of awakening, right? For example, doesn't matter what political party you belong to, you must step back and say, where did all these women come from? Somebody must be saying that, right? Not just here, but across the world. When you look at the innovations in energy, you must be saying, whoa. When you look now at the innovations in the conversation about herbs and natural gardening and medicinal remedy, you must be saying, what? Tumor what? Turmeric? Right?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. So let me ask you this question about you, and then in a bigger context. I've had some challenges. What are some of the challenges? What are some of the obstacles, Sara, that given who you are in the world today, given your passion, your purpose, you know, the vibrancy that we're going to talk about here, what challenges did you personally have to overcome to bring you to this very moment?
Oh, what a great question. I have a endless list of challenges that I used to have. My life's a lot easier now because I practice the things that I teach, but we all have had in our childhood, in our young adult life, all have had different experiences and different things that make you question yourself, your personal power. And I had really loving parents and a wonderful upbringing. My parents divorced young when I was very, very young, and my mom and I moved to a different state. My brother died in a car accident when I was 21. I went through my own divorce. I had cancer. After coming from nothing to believing I sort of, made something out of my life and had been part of a very successful company that we had sold and made money. I thought I did the right thing and I invested it in real estate and the stock market. I lost all of it. And I have found myself absolutely on my knees, totally surrendered, because I had come to the end of myself. I had come to the end of myself and I could no longer do it all on my own. And it was in that moment that something greater than me began to come into my heart and take my life in a totally different direction. I describe the dark night of the soul as the life that you knew it no longer works for you. The life that you had been living has fallen away or is falling away or no longer works for you. But the life that you're moving towards has not shown up yet. And you have no idea what it looks like. And even better, you have no idea how it's going to come together. And one of my biggest challenges was learning to let go and stop trying to control it all, stop trying to make it happen, and coming to this place, which was a real challenge for me, where I didn't want to figure it all out anymore. I just wanted to live in the divine orchestration of life, get in the flow, and let whatever's going to happen, happen, because I believe that life is not happening to you. Life is absolutely happening for you. And in all of those situations, the things at the time that I thought were the very worst things that could happen to me, or I asked myself, why me? Why is this happening to me? Has God forgotten me? Is there even a God? What do I believe? It was in those moments that I opened to something greater. But I can tell you with absolute certainty, I used to think it was radical faith. I used to call it radical faith that I had, that there was something greater than me that was divinely orchestrating my life. And now it's not faith, it is an absolute knowing, no doubt in my mind that there is a source, a power, a consciousness, an awareness, an intelligence that is aware of you, that is always working in your life, that is always orchestrating the coincidences, the opportunities, the connections, everything you need to live your purpose, to live the divine plan for your life. And when I got out of the way and just let go and let God, I don't have the same types of challenges anymore in my life.
Yeah. What I love about this is you and I really have that as part of our journey, right?
Yeah.
For me, what did they say? Like sometimes you have to hit bottom. I know what bottom is. I know it from an early childhood. I know it from a family that alcohol, drugs. My mother was an alcoholic. My mother was an addict when she had me, not by her own choice, really. Because back then, when women were feisty, feisty women, especially if you're
Yeah.
Italian and you're feisty, they send you to Dr. Jacoby and then he gives you a little prescription. That was back then. I don't think it's much different now, but you don't have to go to a doctor. But here we are, these are I buried two sisters a number of years ago. Both of them stories of heroin addiction, drugs, all of that. So when you hit a bottom, you might experience addiction, you might experience something like that. But as we know with that and what you said, there is a part of surrender to a higher power, whatever you all want to say, to God, to a strengthening of your faith, whatever you call it, that changes you.
Mhm.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about that change for Sara. We're going to talk about the Wayshower. My question for you, are you ready to take the path? Are you ready to say yes to this? Are you ready to become one of the Wayshower movement? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back. I have a very special guest today. You're going to hear a lot more from Sara as well. But for those of you out there, I just need to make sure that if you want to find out more about me, in about 3 weeks, wait for it, wait for it. Yes, I am putting up a website, like a Pat website with like my last name. Like my last name is Basili. That is actually going to be a thing. Believe it or not, I have no website with my name. Never thought about it until Jessica's like, probably should have a website. Okay, so we're going to do that. But the other thing is go to the drpatshow.com. You could also Google me. My friends now tell me that you could Google some of the research I did on broken promises. The point is, we want you to listen to the show. So Transformation Talk Radio, the Transformation Network, all the above. Sara, look, we're going to be talking about the path of the Wayshower right now. How are people going to find out more about you? What's coming? What is here now? How can we plug in?
Yeah, you can go to saralandon.com, which is SARALANDON. There's a variety of free resources there: audio, video, downloads, ebooks, several free ebooks on the main page there if you scroll down. And then you can go to Listen Now and find several different resources. You can also find me on YouTube at Sara Landon Life. and on Facebook at Sara Landon homepage. So there's lots of free resources there. I really encourage everyone to take a look at that and find what you're drawn to. There's things on manifesting the love you want, manifesting perfect health, manifesting your soul's desires, which is a big one, how we help create a new earth in a better way, and wealth, abundance, prosperity. There's lots of great resources there on all those different subjects. And we just did a course, which is a fabulous 6-part course on the path of the Wayshower if you do want to go deeper into living, loving, and leading in an awakening world. So thank you, Pat.
I want to talk about that. Okay. I love that you're doing that. And I want to just jump right there. I want to talk about, and I think you've said this, I think what you say is, and paraphrasing, it's time, it's time for the leaders and the way showers of the Great Awakening to fully step into their power and guide the way forward. Now, I love that you say that. And I want to talk about this from a wide spectrum. Many people may be listening and say, well, that's not me. But that's not true. I was talking to you about a caller that I got in my first or second year, like 2005 or 6. Dr. Darvish and I were doing a show on Lyme disease. By the way, nobody was talking about Lyme back then. Certainly in the state of Washington, the Attorney General wouldn't even put it up on the site. But we were talking about it. So we were saying, look, this is real, and we're going to make sure the world knows about it in whatever way we can. And we had a caller from a woman from Alabama who don't necessarily want to mention her name, but we had a call from her. And she talked and she said, she heard me talk about my Southern roots, my stepmom's side. And she said, I am listening to your show. I don't even know how, honey, I'm listening to your show. But I hear you talking about something. And what you just described was about exactly what I'm going through with my doctors and my child. And she went on to talk about that. So what she heard got her to take a different action. What she became from that action was one of the leading advocates in the state of Alabama for Lyme disease awareness. So I want to ask you this, because we're going to talk about this from a lot of different realms. Clearly, the leaders of the world that we call leaders, they need to get their act together. That's me, not you. But everyone can take this path, right?
Absolutely. And there are people that have a wonderful platform in this world to share their message, like you, Dr. Pat, and me. However, it is so important that you realize that wherever you are in your life, you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and you can make a positive and profound difference in the lives of other people exactly where you are right now. And the world does not need to be saved. The world does not need to be fixed. We do not need more laws. We do not need more regulations. People just need to be loved. Love is what changes people. Love is what changes people's lives. And I truly believe it's our highest potential to live each moment fully conscious and present to the love that you are and the power within you, and the power within you to positively affect the lives of everyone around you. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you're listening to this, I absolutely believe you are a way shower. A way shower is not a way demander, not a way teller, not a person standing on a stage, but a person that is using their life in a positive way to show others that a better way is possible. More conscious, loving, harmonious relationships with everyone in your life, living more aligned to abundance and prosperity through gratitude and appreciation, and really recognizing that you do have everything that you need and more. Realizing that there is a healing light that is available to everyone in every moment that you can tune into, that will help raise the vibration of every cell in your body. Our bodies are always seeking to heal until the last breath that you take. So no matter where you are, you matter and your life matters and you have a purpose. But we often make this word purpose so big and so heavy, and we think that it's something we can get wrong. Your purpose is to be you. Your purpose is to do the things you love to do. Your purpose is to let go of all the things that you picked up in this life experience that told you that anything and everything wasn't possible for you. And when you live aligned with that in your own power, shining your light, being who you are, you help other people remember that that's possible for them too. That's what it means to be a wayshower. That's what it means to be a leader wherever you are. If you are a stay at home mother, you are a leader to your children. If you have friends, you are a leader. If you are in the corporate world and you are reporting to managers and directors, you are still a leader. It is how you live your life every day in every conscious present moment that makes a difference.
Wow. Wow. Now, Sara, first of all, I want to acknowledge everybody that's listening to the show on Transformation Talk Radio, but I want to welcome all the Facebook folks. And one of the things I want to be able to say to all of you, I love your comments. I love what you're saying. Please fire up some questions for us because we will take it on.
Yeah.
This amazing angel that is here today, Sara Landon, she is talking the truth of who you are, but also the truth of who you can become. What are some of the things that those of you listening may be challenged by? Are you thinking, yeah, that sounds great. I don't know where to begin. Are you thinking, how could this be part of my life? How could I become this if I'm not already? Type in your question right over there in Facebook. We will get it right on air. Or give us a call, 1-800-930-2819. We'll bring you on. The point is, this show is less about Sara and me and more about all of you out there. This is an awakening invitation. You can create a better world. I never thought in a million years, I'm from the Bronx, I'm from the projects, that I'd even be talking to somebody like you, Sara, that I'd actually be honored with your presence. But everybody can do it. So let's talk about the Great Awakening. What forms has it taken for you? What does it look like? And what is the call to action for people listening?
Yeah, I want to comment on what you said and start with this one really applicable step that if you will just practice this, this will help you awaken to not only what's possible for you in your own power, but to everything that is being orchestrated for you. And that is to understand that all of your power is in this now moment. And I remember hearing things like the present of now and reading that book and thinking, I don't even know how to apply this in my life. And it doesn't sound very exciting. And I don't know how that's going to make me more successful or more money or more happy. But the truth is that that really is the secret to living a happy life, to living a life empowered to make a difference and to make a positive change in the world, and to being open to everything that's being presented to you. Awakening is awakening to higher states of conscious awareness that is available to you, higher states of consciousness, higher states of vibration, where more and more becomes possible for you as you begin to live in higher states of conscious awareness. But you cannot get to those higher states of conscious awareness if you are living in the past, if you are angry, if you are resentful, if you're carrying shame and guilt, if you're in your head arguing with someone in your head that wronged you a year ago or 5 years ago or yesterday, you are not in the present moment, which means you are not in your power. And what we are awakening to is our power and our potential in this life experience. So when you find yourself in your head, I got to share this quick analogy because it really, I think it makes sense for a lot of people. But I don't know about you, Dr. Pat, but I had a prosecuting attorney that would sit on one shoulder and a defense attorney that would sit on my other shoulder. And no matter what I was doing in my life, they were always offering their opinion. So the prosecuting attorney was prosecuting that other person why they were wrong and why they wronged me. And my defense attorney was sitting there always defending me. And this was all going on in my head of why this person was wrong and I was right. And And it's very expensive to be paying to, attorneys. The vibrational price you pay for those two attorneys to sit there and constantly defend you and prosecute the other person, and it's useless. No one wins. The truth is, anytime you are triggered, it is always about you. It is some part of you that isn't feeling heard, isn't feeling understood, isn't feeling appreciated. And when you start loving yourself and appreciating yourself, and you know your worth, and you accept yourself for who you are, everyone around you will start showing up and reflecting that back to you. But it is about getting present, being in the moment, paying attention when you are triggered. What is this really bringing up in you? Are you feeling helpless over your life? Are you feeling like you don't have control? Are you feeling like you're not loved? Take the time to slow down and go within. That is part of awakening. The other piece of this is, if you are stressed and worried and anxious about the future, you are not living in the now moment, and you have absolutely no power over the future from a place of stress, anxiety, worry, and doubt. You cannot figure it out with your human senses. But if you will stay in the moment, you will be guided every step of the way, one step at a time, one step at a time. And when you start living from that level of alignment in this now moment, fully present to everything that's here for you, first off, you realize, or you awaken to the truth that there is so much more going on here than you realize. You actually slow down to begin to speed up in your life. I believe the Great Awakening is people awakening to the power within them, to the truth that there really is only love. There really is only love. Life is happening for you. Everything really does always work out for you. And you will have everything you need and more. But that's only available to you in the now moment. So as you awaken, you begin to move through higher states of consciousness and awareness. And there's different things in those states of consciousness. So what most of us have operated in for the majority of our life is a state of consciousness where there is fear, there's not enough, there's separation, there's judgment, there's competition. And it keeps us in this place of feeling constantly disconnected from ourselves and our power. Then you might start having a situation, maybe one of those 2x4 up the head, upside the head moments, or a few of them, like I had. And you start waking up to the fact that there is more. You might start going through a spiritual awakening or personal transformation, or you might start having situations like waking up at 11:11 or 2:22 or 3:33. And you might start having synchronicities where you think of someone that you haven't talked to in years and they call. Or you say, oh, I just love butterflies. And then you turn around and this perfect butterfly flies by you on a day when you wouldn't normally see a butterfly. Or you think of someone and then you walk across someone on the street that has their same eyes or their same name. These are the little synchronicities that show you that you're starting to move up through higher states of consciousness. But here's the thing, you have to believe it. You have to trust. You have to start recognizing these coincidences and these miracles and these divine orchestrations in your life. And when you do, they just get better and better and better, to the point of literally every day, I think, oh my gosh, I don't know how I could ever be happier, how I could ever live a better life. And every day I feel like it just gets better and better. And that doesn't mean that things don't happen. But the difference is, when you're awake and you're on this awakening process, when things happen, you slow down, you do your inner work so that you don't continue to perpetuate the trauma, the drama, the fear, the chaos in your life. That you slow down, you get into the moment, you align with the truth within you, the power within you, the love within you, and you respond from a place where it's compassionate, kind, loving, conscious, authentic, And when you do that, everything in your life begins to change. And when you are one who is making those choices and living that way, I say spirituality is not a book that you read, it's not a religion that you're part of. Spirituality is a way of living, it's a daily practice. It is not something that you do in a church on Sunday, it's the way you live every day. And the more awakened you are to the power within you and the love within you, the more everything in your life begins to awaken around you. And that to me is the great awakening. And I see it every day in my life with people that I wasn't sure if they would ever awaken to their truth or their power and move beyond being stuck or being a victim or feeling helpless over their life. But it's happening every day. And if you're listening to this, I absolutely believe you are a way shower.
Yeah.
You
eh,
are.
yeah, not only their way shower, but look at they are listening. We have callers. I think the phones have been so off the hook. I'm not quite sure if we have them in the queue or people have been just trying to listen. Carter, who do we have?
Oh, we just got a bunch of listeners. A lot of people trying to call in just to listen to the show.
Oh,
So
that's cool. I
yeah.
love it. I love see, this is what I love about this is because, this is a show we added to the venue here like very recent, like I think yesterday. And so part of what we're doing is we're bringing a very powerful message to the world. What you just said, Sarah, the opening let's just talk about frequency. So the frequency of what you said and the opening for people, it's a universal heart opening, right? It's
Yeah.
available to everyone. It's available to people that might be listening that think, I don't really have anything to contribute. But they do, don't they?
Oh, if you're here, which you are, you have something to contribute. You matter, and you have a gift that only you can give. People ask all the time, I don't know what my purpose is. And your purpose is, what are you curious about? What do you love to do? What are you passionate about? Go do that. Do the things that bring you joy. Joy is the highest vibration, that feeling of joy and bliss and happiness. And you can positively contribute to raising the vibration of yourself and your human family every day just by doing the things that you love, that bring you joy. Allow yourself to do things that are creative for you and fun for you. I believed that I had to work hard and struggle and sacrifice in order to earn, and only then, after I worked, could I play and have fun.
Yeah.
And
Listen,
yeah, you
Sean,
understand.
Sean is asking the same question. Sean just gave us a question about what you're talking about. So let's get to it, right? I want to make sure we get to her right away. Here's the question. I love this, right? Okay, actually, it's Sean. I got Robin. Let's go to Robin. Robin, you ready for this, Sarah? I love this question. Forgiveness, question marks, four of them. Can I truly be awakened in a way shower way if I haven't found the forgiveness for that person who triggers me by past and present actions? I have
Mhm.
moments, but it changes. Yes, Robin, join us in that journey, but we do have a way to help you.
So, two things here. First off, in my experience, forgiveness is part of what awakens us. The journey through forgiveness is what awakens you to your own personal power, that you are not here and you are not a victim in this life. You are not here as a victim. And in my experience, personally, and working with many, many coaching clients and people in my courses, as difficult as this may be, until it's not, the person you most need to forgive is you. It is not about anyone else. And I'll give you my own personal example of this. Oftentimes, when we go through a divorce or an end of a relationship, our society, here's a perfect way to be a way shower. Don't add to the blaming someone and shaming someone and picking a side. When relationships end, we can end relationships because two people are moving in different directions and honor that path without making someone wrong. And so often we make someone wrong. But even when you're the person in that relationship, when I was going through one of my toughest breakups that I ever went through, I was so angry at him and I had a really hard time forgiving him. And when I really realized that I had to forgive myself because I betrayed myself and did not listen to the little signs that continually showed me and told me that I was not honoring my truth, that I was not being authentic. I got the intuition from my higher self. I got the gut feeling. I didn't listen to it. I did it anyway. And when I realized that I'm the one who had betrayed myself, then I had to really forgive myself. And one of the easiest things you can do is just recognize that you did the best you could with what you knew at that time. But you are in this moment more conscious, more awake than ever before.
Mhm.
And once you're awake, you cannot go back to sleep. And once you've reached a certain state of consciousness, you can't live an unconscious life. So trust yourself that whatever reason that you chose that relationship, you would choose differently now. You might respond differently now. You might handle it differently now. But it's not that other person that you need to forgive, it's you. When you forgive yourself, it's much easier to forgive the other person.
Oh my God, absolutely. I just had to apologize live on air. So, Sean, I hope you will forgive me because, my look, I have never been perfect in doing this show in 15 years. And I accidentally implied Sean is a guy. But here I am. I'm thinking like in my little brain. And so here we are. But when something like that happens, there is a remedy to acknowledge the harm that maybe you've done another person. I had to learn that from the other side. But one of the things you said, Sarah, and I want to say this to Robin as well, I learned in one of the programs that I entered about 30 years ago that resentment is the number one offender. Resentment. There's nothing more toxic than the internal part of our soul, that part that you're talking about, the awakening, if we carry that resentment with us. And so a friend of mine said to me a long time ago, Pat, you got to think about forgiveness as, a little bit somewhat selfish. You have to do it, not because you condone a behavior, but because you believe enough in yourself, as you said, Sarah, to really look at yourself, to cut yourself a break so that you can open up the space for the greatness that all of us are meant to be. What a fabulous show. Sarah, thank you for today. I can't thank you enough. I want to thank everybody listening. I hope I got to everybody's question. At least I hope I brought most of it to Sarah. Again, I want to ask you two things. How can people find out more about you? And what's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today, Sarah? And thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. This has just been such a joy to be here with you and your incredible community. So if people want to find out more, they can go to saralandon.com, which is SARALANDON. There's a variety of free resources there. We have a monthly membership master's class program where I do weekly coaching calls and monthly calls. And you can also find several free resources under the Listen Now or at the bottom of my homepage. You can also go to YouTube, Sara Landon Life, or Facebook to Sara Landon homepage. So my personal message to you all. I just want to go back to this one piece that we've talked about a couple of times and just to tell you, every single one of you listening, that you matter and your life matters. And what you love matters, and what you're passionate about matters. And where you are every single day is an opportunity to positively make a difference in the world. You have no idea how someone's life could change in this day just by looking them in the eyes and seeing them and smiling and letting other people know that they're seen and they matter. So many times we think that being a wayshower means that you have to have millions of followers, or that you have to have millions and millions of dollars, or this huge platform where you're famous. And some of the most important things that make the biggest difference: put down the phone in the grocery store line and make eye contact with the clerk and look her or him in the eye and smile and care about them. You might be walking down the aisle of the grocery store and just looking at someone and smiling. You have no idea the ripple effect that that could have. It's as easy as that. And anything above and beyond that you do is just wonderful, perfect. Do what brings you joy, do what makes you happy, but don't make it difficult. Just know that everything that you do every day, you are either bringing love and kindness and being generous and living in your power, or you're perpetuating the belief that you don't have the power within you and that you don't matter. And I assure you that you do. So, to everyone listening, I love you. Thank you for listening to this. Dr. Pat, I love you. It's so good to be here with you. I really appreciate this.
And I got to just tell everybody, you're going to hear a lot more from Sara Landon. We promise you that. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. And thank you for being you, because you allow us both to become better people in service for a purpose that is so much greater than any of us. But certainly for me, I never thought I'd be doing. We'll see you next time, everybody.